How can you expedite your case in 2024? In this video, we'll talk about NVC trends and how can you move your case forward in the next year. Hello everybody and welcome back to Immigration Channel. This is where we explain complex immigration matters in short, simple videos. We make immigration easy. And in this video, we'll talk about how to expedite your National Visa Center NVC case in 2024. Many of you are waiting for your interview. Your case has been approved by USCIS, and now you're just sitting and waiting for National Visa Center to be able to work with the embassy and get your case scheduled for an interview. But it's not happening so fast, and we'll talk about some ways how you can expedite your case, how you can move it forward in 2024. But before we do that, if you're here for the first time visiting this channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to show this video to more people just like you. As always, if you need help with your immigration matters, all you have to do is, first of all, send me a text to 619-483-4549, or you can reach us on our contact website at immigrationasap.com. Put your information there and one of our team members will contact you as soon as possible. Now let's jump into the video. So as most of you know, when you file your immigrant visa, there are a few stages in the process. The first stage is that you have to file the immigrant visa on form I-130 with the USCIS Immigration Service inside the United States. That process takes over a year, in some cases even 3 years to process these I-130s. But once they are approved, the I-130 is sent by the USCIS to the National Visa Center. National Visa Center is a buffer agency between the State Department and the USCIS, where they process the applications, they collect more documents, you submit more forms, Form DS-260, and at that point, once they finish processing your case, they will consider your case documentary complete, and then you will wait for your turn to be scheduled for a visa interview. The problem is that in the past few years, since the pandemic and other factors in the State Department, many applicants that are documentary complete are stuck for years waiting for the National Visa Center to schedule their visa appointments with the US embassies. And in this video, I want to talk to you about some options, what you can do to try to push it a little bit further and sometimes even try to expedite your case so you don't have to wait that long. Now remember, until the National Visa Center is done processing your application. So if you're not documentary complete, there's nothing you can do to move your case further or expedite. Also, even if your case is documentary complete, you cannot contact the embassy directly because your file is not even there. Your file is sitting with the National Visa Center waiting for your application to be processed at the embassy once they open an interview slot. So first of all, when can you expedite your case with the NVC? There are certain things that must happen before you can even consider trying to expedite your case. First of all, you must have an I-130 that is approved with USCIS. If your case is still pending with USCIS, clearly you cannot expedite anything with the National Visa Center. Once your I-130 is approved and your case is now at the National Visa Center, the second thing is that your case must be documentary complete, which means that NVC must process all the paperwork. They don't need anything else from you. They don't need your birth certificates. They don't need your financial documents. They've done processing inside the online system. They send you a message stating that now your case is documentary complete. And that date is really crucial because depending on that date, you can actually track and see the movement of your application compared to others that go through the same process. The third thing that must happen is that it's not enough for your case to be documentary complete. It's also very important for a visa number to be available for you. We also call it, your visa number must be current. And the way you check is you follow the visa bulletin. The visa bulletin is released every month by the State Department, and it tells you based on your category. For example, if you're an F2A category, a spouse of a green card holder, and you are from, let's say, India, your date is going to be different than somebody that is F2A category and was born in France, for example. So you have to follow the visa bulletin to check if there's a visa available for you. Now, why is it important? Because even if you're documentary complete, even if your I-130 has been approved, if there's no visa available for you at that moment, the government cannot issue a visa and therefore you won't be able to get an interview scheduled. So check in the visa bulletin every month and make sure to watch our videos. We release every single month. One of the most popular videos on YouTube about the visa bulletin, explaining in detail what happens for every single category, both on family-based and employment-based, so you know and you're not going to get confused, and be able to help you track your case as well. Now, if all these factors are there, then you can try to request an expedite. Now, what are some of the reasons that National Visa Center will entertain an expedited request? For example, they're going to look at severe medical condition. Typically, this is something that must affect the U.S. citizen, the petitioner of the application, less about the beneficiary who is currently overseas. Second, there could be urgent humanitarian reasons, whether there is some violence in the home country impacting the immigrant, and as a result, the U.S. citizen is suffering as well because they have to travel often and they can prove it, or any other humanitarian reasons that can be documented clearly and appeal to the National Visa Center's adjudicating officer. Also, if somebody is a victim of severe crime, this can apply both for the beneficiary overseas as well as the U.S. citizen abroad. So if you have cases of violence in the home country impacting the immigrant, and the U.S. citizen is now also impacted, whether it's directly or indirectly, combination of both can be used to file an expedited request with the National Visa Center. Aging out of a child beneficiary. Aging out cases, if a child is about to turn 21 and there's no other way to save the case, it's really important to put a notice on NVC to let them know. And in most cases, they will expedite your case and allow the petition to go through, so your child is not going to age out. Situations where there are imminent childbirth happening, and it's important to notify NVC so the case can be processed accordingly and the entire family can stay together. It is worth it to notify NVC of such situations, and they may consider to expedite your case. Again, those can be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Right now, the National Visa Center is looking at even more situations where they could potentially expedite cases. Now remember, during the pandemic, there were different reasons to expedite cases based on a national interest or things like that. Right now, they're looking at it less. Right now, they're looking at the traditional reasons to expedite, the ones I just mentioned, which will apply both to the U.S. citizen as well in some cases to the beneficiary. Remember, before, those national interest exceptions applied 100% to the U.S. citizen. Now, we can expand them both to the beneficiary and the U.S. citizen on a case-by-case basis. Again, they can be effective, but they not always work. It's important to be aware of that it's not a guarantee, but it's worth a shot if you need it. One of the most interesting reasons that we've seen recently that works is health-related care needs. So for example, if you have a U.S. citizen that is sick and need attention, care, for example, an elderly parent or a spouse that needs that kind of help, and you can document it, those have been really effective for expedited with NVC, and they've been approving those. Again, it's not a generalization, it doesn't work in every case, but we've seen that some of these cases were effective, and I wanted to pass that information back to you. So how do we expedite a National Visa Center NVC case? So as I mentioned before, if you qualify based on the examples and the circumstance that I mentioned before, and a visa number is available for you because you checked, and you documented complete because you checked, then you submit a request in writing to a special email address. The email address is also on the website of the National Visa Center, and the email address is nvcexpedite@state.gov. When you send them an email using this email address, make sure you include your case number or receipt number at the subject line, because they get so many emails, and if you don't address it properly, your email will be ignored. Then you have to include other key details like petitioner's and the beneficiary's name and date of birth, and that email should be sent only once. Now remember, National Visa Center, they don't use the phone number anymore. Maybe they're going to bring back the phone number sometimes in 2024, but for the moment, it is the only way for you to communicate with them and request this expedite. So you've submitted the expedite. What happens next? Once you submit the expedite, you're probably going to hear from the National Visa Center within 30 to 45 days. And typically you'll receive an email saying that they accepted or rejected your request for an expedite. If your request is approved for an expedite, then it's going to be forwarded to the US Embassy, and you'll be able to contact them directly to request an emergency appointment based on this expedite. And that is the process that you're going to follow in 2024 to expedite your NVC case. What you can see is that there's a little bit more reasons why they will consider to expedite somebody's case. And also, National Visa Center is also now understanding that because they have so many cases right now that are sitting there and waiting, they need to do something about moving those cases forward. So it is worth it to try to expedite if you have a good reason. Now, what if you try to expedite and you've been pending since 2021 and nothing works? Remember, you can always try to file a lawsuit, a Mandamus lawsuit, and the purpose of this lawsuit is one thing: to force the government to act. It's not going to force them to approve it. It's not going to force them to give you money. It's only going to force them to take action on your case so you don't have to wait that long. And it's important to evaluate if you qualify for this Mandamus. And again, if you do, you need to speak to an attorney to help you to determine if you do and file this lawsuit. So these are the options to expedite, and if it doesn't work, you can always file a Mandamus. Once again, if you do need help with any of your immigration matters, send me a text right here, 619-483-4549. And if you don't have access to a text, try to use this website that we set up specifically to contact us. It's called immigrationasap.com right here. And then put your details in there and somebody will contact you immediately. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.